Hello, my name is Doug Goodkin, and you are listening to the ABCs of Education. Today's episode, A is for Art. Here we explore artistic expression as a necessary cornerstone of each and every school. Long before humankind could read, write, and arithmetic, we were painting in caves, beating rhythms on drums, and singing praises to the gods of the day. Some 40,000 years later, art continues to be that which makes us feel that we are something more than a primate with car keys. Every day, we are immersed in images and colors and gestures and tones that change the way we feel and think. Though we often imagine that art is mere window dressing, a quick glance at the people walking the street with their headphones on, while glancing at the explosion of graphic images around them, should suffice to remind us that art is inescapable. We only have to choose between art designed to awaken emotion, opening the door to wonder, or that which tickles our desire and leads us to the shopping mall. Schools are one place that can help prepare children to make such choices. Just as our ancestors thought in chants, crafts, and dance before abstract ideas, so do young children think in pictures, songs, and gestures before they learn their ABCs. And when they do learn the alphabet, that remarkable tool that helps make abstract thinking possible, how do they do it? Why, with a song, of course. And so to begin at the beginning, we must start with art. When I walked through the school where I taught, I always saw happy children drawing, painting, molding clay, building with blocks. I heard them chanting rhymes and singing songs and reciting poems and telling stories. I watched them shaking shakers and scraping scrapers and strumming strings and drumming drums. I saw them dancing spontaneously to exuberant samba music and also moving to the measured steps of ancient line and circle dances. A is for art. So that's how I began my first chapter of my ABCs of Education book. And you can see what I'm trying to do here. I'm turning the reader's or the listener's attention to the most important people in any discussion about school: kids. And since kids are rarely given the opportunity to speak on their own behalf, it's my job as an adult to do so for them. And that means reminding other adults what makes kids different from adults and how paying attention to that difference is a good idea. At the workshops that I continue to give to music teachers, I often point out that after 45 years of some 7 music classes a day with kids from 3 years old to 8th grade, I was rarely, if ever, burnt out. Once I figured out how to meet kids where they were, the rewards were enormous. The energy that the kids have, once put in its proper place, radiated back to me and energized me. So at the end of the class, at the end of the day, I was happier than when I started. Well, of course, not always. Kids are kids, people are people, you know how that goes. But in general, finding the right place for their delight and extravagance made all the difference in the world, and that right place is art. Not only music and dance and drama and poetry and visual arts, but every subject approached artfully, with space given to kids' fertile imaginations, their boundless curiosity, their unbridled joy in making things and in creating things. We'll talk more about that later, about how all subjects can be artful. But for now, let's talk about the arts, specifically music, dance, and drama, the areas that I have been most involved in. And the reason the arts properly taught fit children so well is that they speak precisely to who kids are. So, a few examples. True art is about extravagant expression, pushing out to the edges of human passion where polite society rarely goes. Think of opera. John Coltrane's searing solos, the Nicholas Brothers' exuberant tap dancing, Carnival in Rio de Janeiro. Let's face it, kids are explosive and extravagant and extreme in their emotion. That wailing kid on the airplane, the sobbing child whose hamster just died, the kids joyfully out in the rain splashing in puddles or diving into the ocean waves. The arts give them a place to let it all out, and when well taught, the skills and the tools to do it artfully, to shape it and to mold it and to hold it and to sometimes temper it and sometimes make it yet larger and more alive. I often remind the teachers I teach that kids don't need to be taught to be artistic. They are artists down to their bones. Listen to a 3-year-old tell you the story about her day at the beach and note the phrasing and the dynamics and the highs and lows of the expressive speaking voice and the way that the body and the hands are telling the story right alongside the voice. So in my workshops, I have people tell the story like a 3-year-old. What did you do yesterday? I went down to the beach and it was so hot. I was sweating, but then I jumped into the ocean and it was cold, but I liked it. And then a big wave came and it knocked me down and my knees got bent down into the sand and I came out and I was crying. And my mom and dad came up and they gave me a hug and then they put a little Band-Aid on my cut. And then they said, would you like some ice cream? Yes, please. And I had a yummy ice cream cone and then I forgot all about it. It was fun. Now compared to the adults who would tell the same story. What'd you do yesterday? Yeah, I went to the beach. It was kind of hot out, but the ocean was refreshing. But then a wave did knock me down and that wasn't very pleasant. But I came out and I took care of it. And then I thought I'd treat myself to an ice cream cone. So yeah, it was fine. So feel that difference. No wonder I loved teaching kids for so long, and I still do. They are so much more interesting than adults. Kids and genuine artists understand each other. One is building sandcastles and making mud balls and building with Legos. The other is shaping sculptures, molding clay, and drawing architectural plans. One is babbling and speaking in a nonsense language to friends. The other is scat singing. One is fascinated with chant and rhyme. The other is rapping and reciting spoken word poetry. One is making rude sounds with their voice at the dinner table, and the other is making a lot of money beatboxing. One is constantly leaping and twirling and running and somersaulting. The other is doing the same on the dance floor or in the gymnastic competition. One is telling fantasy stories to themselves or play acting with their friends. The other is writing imaginative novels or acting on the stage. Can you feel how closely they're aligned? The only difference is years and years of turning random fantasy, movement, sound, speech into a cultivated imagination armed with technique, a purposeful focus, a structure, and a form. Here are a couple examples of kids' raw artistic impulses before any adults try to intervene. The first is my granddaughter Zadie when she was 2.5. What you don't know is that she's painting while she's scat singing. And the phrasing is timed exactly with her brushstrokes. An early example of what became known as sound painting, kind of like Ella Fitzgerald meets Jackson Pollock with a short drum solo by Elvin Jones. The other example comes from a class I do with 5-year-old children who are seated at xylophones set up around the room, and the xylophones are in this 5-note scale called the pentatonic scale. And I tell the kids that inside each bar of the xylophone is a secret song waiting for them to discover it. All they have to do is start exploring with their mallets and listen carefully for the moment when they hear that secret song come out of hiding, and then follow it for a short while until it feels finished, and then see if they can remember it and share it back with the group. Now note, they haven't had a single lesson on xylophone technique, nor ever played the xylophone before. They don't know what a pentatonic scale is or how phrasing and home notes work. I just set their innately artistic musical selves loose in this little playground of possibilities in faith that they'll come up with something interesting and musically coherent. And guess what? They always do, without exception. Now, in the next episode, I'll read a bit more from this first chapter in the book and speak specifically on the connection between arts and academics. This will be adult talk, but I thought it'd be more powerful to give the kids the voice first. I mentioned earlier that kids are rarely given the chance to speak on their behalf, to advocate for themselves as to what they need from schools. But if you actually ask them the right questions, they are exquisitely articulate. So I'm going to close this episode with some testimonies from the kids themselves between 5 and 14 years old. Though as a music teacher, their comments mostly focus on music, their ideas and thoughts apply to all of the arts. Some of these kids are from other schools, quotes that other teachers have given to me, and some from my own. Listen to what they say. I think it is important to have music programs because all the songs we learned have put fun and excitement into my day. Not only do the songs make us happy, but they also help us look forward to the day. I don't know what I would do without the drums and the other instruments. They help me get out my anger. And the dances are my favorite when I need a good laugh. After I dance, I always feel way better. That's Shane, 9 years old. Here's Adam, 7 years old. I have always loved the songs we've learned. Our day would be horrible without singing and dancing. I would rot on my chair without it. Here's Jody, who's 5 years old. How are we supposed to make friends if we don't have songs to share? Those things you taught me will always be in my heart. Isn't that sweet? And then there's these 8th graders from my school that I gave them a job. I said, imagine you're an adult and your kid is going to school that either doesn't have a music program or they have a music program and they're about to cut it. You come to the school board meeting, what are you going to say? Why do you think music is important? How could you convince somebody? And so here are some of their answers. And this first one segues into what we'll talk about next episode, the arts and academics. This is from Sophia. Music is essential to a kid's academic development. As a middle school student, the connection that I made from music to academics was astounding. I would use music techniques to study and to finish work. It was an important part of my life. I don't know where I would have been if I didn't have it. Along the same vein, Juliana. Music is a way to work with sounds with your hands. It forms your brain. It helps you to think in a different way. It's a way to speak to people, and it's a way to listen to people. Nashira. Music is the key to life if taught correctly. It can open new doors and take you to places you've never been before. I just want to accent if taught correctly. That has been my life's work, because we all know that music can be miserable in certain classes or certain ways it's taught. That's further down the line. We'll come to that. But music, again, back to Nashira. Music is the key to life if taught correctly. It can open new doors and take you to places you've never been before. Kassan. For some kids, music is the voice they never had. Maya. Without music, I would be a mess. Music is my best friend. It sticks by me through thick and thin. It makes hard times better and good times simply the best. Shalimar. Music class always put me in a happy mood. When I looked at my schedule and saw I had music, it changed my feeling about the day. Lucia. Music is an alternate place for kids to exist. You might not be good at math, but you could be good in music, and vice versa. It gives a place to be creative and to learn life skills. It's a place for kids to be themselves and also bond with their classmates. I can't resist a little editorial comment. So much of what these kids are talking about has to do with everything that schools should be. In that introductory episode, I talked about what would you want schools to be if you were a parent? And some of the obvious answers would be, I want my kid to feel like they can be themselves. I want them to make friends. I want them to feel connected with their classmates and their community. I want them to find the things that they do well and work hard in the things that are hard for them. And mostly, I want them to be happy. And listen to these kids. They are affirming over and over again that this is what the arts can give them. Couple more. James. As someone with a lot of personal catastrophes and trauma, music became my escape from them. I often spent my day counting minutes until I could be in music. I don't think most people realize how important the music program is to people like myself, and I want more kids like myself to find their escape into music. Nate. Music is what completes in education. It is such an essential part of our culture and everyday life that taking it away would be like taking away color from nature and flavor from food. Okay, I warned you, these kids are articulate. They know what they know, and they know how to say it quite poetically if you just give them the chance and you actually take a moment to listen to them. So I'm going to close with a poem from a fourth grader named Aristu. And I just want to accent one more time this whole excursion into schools and education and what it is and what it could be and what it should be and what it might be. It just really comes down to kids need to be happy in schools. And if kids are happy, then grown-ups are happy. Their teachers are happy. And if teachers are happy, the administrators are happy. And if the kids are happy and the teachers are happy and the administrators are happy, the parents are happy. And it doesn't mean that they're not learning their facts or not learning good math skills or all those things people worry about so much. It means actually they're learning them in the best way, because happiness opens the brain. It opens the emotional body. It opens the curiosity and feeds our motivation in a way that nothing else does. And we know the opposite of happiness, stress and anxiety, shuts it all down. So here's Aristu's poem about music. It seeps through the heart with a mighty ring, makes cats purr and choirs sing. It makes happiness jump wherever it goes. It makes boys and girls swing to and fro. It's in every song and many dances. It's best by itself, but no enhances. It's music to your ears, it's music to mine. It makes people smile and makes their sun shine. If you don't have it, you might lose it. It's music, I say. It's music. It's music.